The Mayo Experience.
Mayo Experience. Mayo Experience. Mayo Experience. Experience.
Welcome to the Pat Mayo Experience, presented by DraftKings, Palmetto Championship, first look, picks, research, and the preview for the week. If you want to play in the best tournament on DraftKings, easy stuff. Hit the description, click on the link to the Pat Mayo Experience DraftKings Open, 3,000 spots, $15 to play, 3 max entry, no rake thus, making it the best tournament on DraftKings. Also, give me the smash for the like button out there in the comment section. Please tell me who your first look lean is to win at this week's event, where we have never seen a professional event before. Many of us just haven't seen it at all. When we get to the research, you're just going to find out that every single article that you find about this course is just about how great the billionaires who started it are and how much they give back. I mean, they have billions of dollars. I'm sure they could, instead of building a golf course in order to fund the charity that they're giving out, they just be giving this money away if they really want to be giving it away, I suppose. But it seems like there's an obligation to write about just the philanthropy of all of these billionaires at this golf course. And every single, it's mind-boggling. You'd be shocked at how much of each article about this course, even if it's the entire thing, is just about that and relatively little about the course itself. But I did find some decent stuff here. This is obviously replacing the Canadian Open for the year, which is a bummer because the Canadian Open has been canceled the past 2 years. And it was the first time the Canadian Open was going to be like 20 minutes from my door before I moved, obviously, when I lived in Toronto as of like a month ago. But it's still shut down, the border. So hopefully starting next year, I believe it is at Jeff Feinberg's home course, Oakdale. I don't know if that's next year or the year after for the Canadian Open, but it's a bummer. It's the third oldest national championship in the golfing world. And for 2 consecutive years, it's not going to be played. The last time that there was a hiccup at all was World War II. So this is what we're looking at right now. I am doing some giveaways over on the Daily Fantasy Sports Picks and Bets, the Mix feed, all the short form content. That's where you can find my Wednesday final pick show right now, because we've transitioned over into fantasy football for twice a week going forward. Probably only going to be once this week, because I think I'm going to do a giant Euro 2021 preview Wednesday on the Pat Mayo Experience. There's obviously the newsletter. I try to hit on some more topics. Maybe I'll try to figure out a way to do a quick Q&A within the newsletter if there's a spot that you guys want to dump some of your questions into, because I feel bad getting away from the question and answer. I don't, because you can see how angry it makes me most times, although I do like helping people. There's just enough content out there that, during football season, there's not going to be a live chat. So there will be one for the U.S. Open next week, and we have a full slate of content for that. But for your run-of-the-mill week, it'll probably just be the quick 10 to 15 minutes, final picks, weather report, DraftKings ownership type show. And if you listen to the audio version, you can always find all the videos up on Mayo Media Network. Subscribe, by the way, special like. Too. The rest of it will go onto the Daily Fantasy Sports Picks and Bets. Now, if you leave a 5-star review on Daily Fantasy Sports Picks and Bets, The Mix, subscribe to that feed too. By the way, when you're out there, leave your Twitter handle or email in the address. I'm giving away a whole bunch of entries into the $33, probably 3 or 4. I'm trying to figure it out, depending on how many we get. I'll kind of divvy it up that way. So $33 giveaways for a 5-star review, something you enjoy about the show. We've had French Open every single day of the French Open with 3 bets per day. We're going to be doing the same thing for Euro as well. There's going to be a quick 5 to 10 minute Euro pick show every single day up on that mix for the duration of the tournament. Obviously, I'm not going to be doing it since I don't know anything about soccer, but I found some people who do. So hopefully they can translate that knowledge into some sports betting wins for you. And it's just going to be a good way to keep up to date. Like, we were thinking about going full-fledged, doing an everyday, hour-long podcast for Euro 2021, but I think that there's enough of that out there that if people just want some picks, they want to know what happened, who's playing for the day, that they can put on, while they're taking a shower or something like that. The Daily Fantasy Sports Picks and Bets Euro 2021 coverage is where it's going to be at. So you can find the links in the description of the video and pod to go subscribe to that and get in everything for that right now in terms of the giveaways. So the course that we're looking at, I'm not even going to call it right, Congaree. I mean, if it's spelled phonetically, then I think we're pretty good on that front. But like I said, there's very little known about the course itself, so I suppose I can just tell you about the field very briefly. It's not a good field. It's a good thing that Brooks wants a tune-up before the U.S. Open, and so does DJ, because they're both playing. That's great news. Hatton is also playing. But after that, the next best guys in the field are Sungjae, Fleetwood, Fitzpatrick, and Ghim. I mean, I like that. That's fine. It's a 156-man field as well after 2 straight weeks of the 120, where, I mean, we didn't see it at Memorial with the super high 6 of 6 percentage. We almost got there with the +3s, but it didn't quite come to fruition. We're going to go back to, this is going to be a crapshoot week, to be perfectly honest with you. No one really knows anything about this course, what style is going to play. So you probably just want to align all your players into the same mold of guys, and hopefully you pick right. And that's how it turns out. We'll be going over the weather later on in the week too. We do have some like mid-tier guys like Poulter's playing, Van Rooyen's playing, Willett's playing, Patty Harrington's playing, Brendan Grace is playing. He's actually playing pretty well right now. So is Rafa Cabrera Bello. They're both in the field. So the international contingent's not so bad. Then you have 2 guys coming over from Europe. Hit my guy Higo. He's probably still over here from Europe. The 21-year-old has 2 wins a year for each of the past 3 years. Sets up a lot like the trajectory of Matt Wallace, except he's 21 years old. And he's almost a top 50 player in the world. Like he played like the minor leagues on the Sunshine Tour. I've been over Higo a whole bunch of times, but he won there, then he won on the Sunshine Tour, then he won the Sunshine Tour Championship, then he won a Challenger/Euro event in Portugal. Now he has 2 wins on the actual Euro Tour so far this season. Not against the best competition over in the Canary Islands, but hey, a win's a win, so that's what we're going with here. Played pretty well for stretches at the PGA Championship too, his first ever professional tournament in America, his first ever major championship. So he's actually one of the better players in this field. I'm curious to see what his like odds and price are going to be, but I guess we'll get to that a little bit later on. The other guy making his debut over in America is 21-year-old South African Wilco Nienaber. All right. When he becomes better in America, I'll learn how to say his name properly. He won a Challenger Tour Sunshine event at the beginning of May. He's into this event. I think he's in the PGA Championship field as well. Don't quote me, or the not PGA Championship, the U.S. Open field at Torrey Pines next week. That's why you're not seeing anyone at this course. And it's a first time. Guys just don't want to really go out and do it, I don't think. I'd be curious to know who'd be playing in the Canadian Open right now, because it's an RBC event, so you'd get all the RBC guys, plus all the Canadian guys, and Rory played it a few years ago, so I don't know if that was him just getting it out of the way so he wouldn't have to play it in subsequent years, and that was in Hamilton that year, not even Toronto. So you'd think that, like, with the course being not quite in downtown Toronto, if things were going to be opened up, Oakdale basically is, though, Jeff's course. So maybe that will draw in a lot of people versus one of the more, Hamilton's one thing, they had a good field that year, but it was all Rory and a bunch of short hitters the week before prepping for the U.S. Open. Trying to align the Canadian Open with where the U.S. Open is in America, I think would help too. Like having an East Coast Canadian Open and a West Coast U.S. Open, I don't think bodes really well for the tournament. Who else is in here? We got John Pack and Davis Thompson are both turning pro. This is their first event as a pro. Pack is the Hogan Award winner. He won 7 times in college, and Davis Thompson is the SEC Player of the Year from 2021. They're both turning pro this week. They're in the field. Cole Hammer is playing from the University of Texas. You might remember him from the U.S. Open like 6 years ago when he was 15, and I think he made the cut that year. Either way, he's at the University of Texas now. And Doc Redman's college teammate from Clemson, Bryson Nimmer, local guy, he is going to be in the field as well. He's been kind of grinding it out on the Korn Ferry Tour. Not much ado about what he's going through, but maybe he's played this course a bunch of times. It's like I said, it's tough to find information. So let's just jump over to the scorecard, and this is what it's telling us. It's 7,655 yards as a par 71. It's a long course. It's a Tom Fazio design, Bermuda green, sand everywhere. It has the natural sand traps like they had at Kiowa Island. So let's see. Here's what it said from some of the stuff that I found. All the sand, the Brawny course is relatively flat with a change of only about 30 feet from its highest and lowest points. But there are some carnivorous bunkers and vast waste areas, many of which have the sharp edges like those found in the Australian Sunbelt. So we'll get to that in a second. All sandy expanses at Congaree are deemed natural areas, so players are permitted to ground their clubs anywhere, anytime. The bunkering is especially fearsome on the par 4 8th hole, which is 540 yards from the back tee. What's that playing, actually, in this one? Yeah, 8th hole, yeah, 540 yards as a par 4. That sounds fun. I played with Cust on the weekend. I'm going to go over all this ROM stuff, by the way, with Feinberg on Monday. It's more of a Monday show topic rather than me just kind of going over. I will share the anecdote, however, that I was in the cart with Cust and we were going through everything. And I said, I think it was through like 16 holes, like, fuck, Rahm's on a heater right now. He's up by 6 over everyone. He just looked at me and goes, well, it's good because I don't need Patrick Cantlay winning. So I'm in a 3-man one and done with my friends. And the guy who's in the lead has Cantlay, and I can't have him winning. And then like an hour later, we were on our final hole of the night. We checked back and it's like, it says that Rahm's WD. Is that an error? And then we found out exactly what happened. So a nice Andrew curse. So hopefully that means Cantlay wins at Memorial. That'd be very beneficial for me. Or if like, everyone wants to get wiped out besides like Reed and Siwoo, that would be nice as well. If Siwoo can come inside the top 5 and Cantlay can win, it's going to be a fucking fantastic week for me. So hopefully that happens. Some visiting pros have suggested the 8th hole at this course is the hardest par 4 in the world. Lucas Glover and Adam Scott are 2 ambassadors at this course as well. He said if it remains firm and fast, meaning little to no rain, which it doesn't look like there is right now in the schedule, you'll see different styles of play. You'll see bombers hitting over trouble, shorter hitters running it in between the problems. So essentially when we look at it, I can't imagine how this plays easy, but if it plays firm and fast, like it's not going to play the full 7,655 yards. It's just not, especially as a par 71. Fazio also does Pinehurst. He did Shadow Creek last year where they filled in for the CJ Cup. So I suppose you could look at those if you wanted identifiers. Looking at the course in general, they say the Australian like Sunbelt type courses, but Royal Aberdeen was one that we saw kind of pop up. Royal Aberdeen was the Scottish Open in 2014. You see Rose, Hatton was up there, who's in the field this week. Shane Lowry. It might play kind of Euro style. Danny Willett was T11 that week. Phil was up there. Rory and Casey, they're not in the field. Luke Donald is playing this week. Who else do we have who's actually in the field this week? Rafa is playing. Patty is playing. He was T27. I just don't know if it has the wind of like a Scottish Open. So what I would actually kind of venture a guess, we'll look up Higo here just to see how he performed. I think those like Middle East type of events might be sort of a complex, sort of like desert golf, but the shorter hitters can play well. Guys that keep it low. There's not a whole lot of rough around the greens of this course. You're going to see guys playing bump and runs in order to get it to stick, like high ball hitters. If it plays firm and fast, might not be at the greatest advantage, or maybe that they're at the greatest advantage. I don't really know. I'm just trying to speculate here based on what I've seen. So probably not Saudi so much. But let's go to Omega Dubai, Abu Dhabi, and the DB World Championship just to see who's played well at those courses, who could be in the field this time around. Like guys around the green who are historically like bad around the greens might be playing a lot of bump and runs, using the hybrids or the 8 irons from off of the greens, and that way they can get the ball up to the proper level without putting it up into the air too much. It does seem like the shorter hitters will want to keep it down, use the speed of the course in order to figure everything out. So we have Hatton and Lowry. Lowry's not playing, but obviously Tyrrell Hatton is. Patty finished well in Dubai this year. We're not seeing Cantor or Smooja, although I think that they're both in the U.S. Open next week. I'm not sure if they qualified or not. You're not going to get a ton of crossover here, obviously. David Lipsky is playing, though. He got a special exemption into this tournament from the organizers, so he was over there, and this one was the Omega Dubai. Obviously, Sergio and Willett have won in that in the past. Over in Abu Dhabi, Hatton was the winner. Man, really should have been betting Scrivener all the time. Lipsky was up there. Maybe Lipsky is actually a look this week. Tends to play pretty good in these Middle Eastern events against really good fields too. Like this isn't Abu Dhabi is a no joke field when you finish behind Hatton and Rory, and there's Rafa Cabrera Bayo. That's going to be a fun one. If you can find some stuff on like the Australian courses, and you can go back and look at these 3 courses over time to find out who really does the best work. Obviously, Fitzpatrick. Reed isn't playing, but Fitzpatrick is. He's had a lot of success over in Dubai, especially against the top end fields over the years. So is Fleetwood, as has Hatton. You see Brendan Grace inside the top 10. They're all guys playing this week. Sung Jae was over there. He was T14, but his game appears to be out of whack. He plays one good round and then one horrendous round coming after. Willett is super interesting, though, because he's been kind of grinding, doing a little bit better. See, he was top 11 at the Betfred. If you want to find all this information, it's up on OWGR.com, the official world golf ranking site, to find a lot of the Euro and international type stuff. So where are his best finishes? Yeah, you have the DB World Championship in Dubai first, the Omega Dubai Desert Classic first. So that's pretty decent. And he plays link style golf, obviously, very well. So I might have a very European and international heavy card this week, and just hope that Dustin and Brooks decide to use this as kind of a hit and giggle, get themselves warmed up a little bit, and just kind of fade the hell out of them, because when we get to guess the odds, I'm guessing that they're going to be very high up there, and just kind of, use a bit outside the box thinking. FantasyNational.com is going to be a tremendous resource this week, obviously, as it is every single week, because you're going to want to use the stats to find some hidden guys down at the bottom, the lineup generator. You'll use the ownership projections, and we do have the U.S. Open coming up. So what I would recommend, if you're not in on FantasyNational.com yet, here's what you do. FantasyNational.com/Mayo gets you 20% off. Wait till Wednesday. Get the weekly membership. It'll go Wednesday to Wednesday, which will give you this tournament to generate your lineups and use the ownership and all that. Then you can use the next week to have all the research for the U.S. Open as well. So it'll cost you I think it's $7 after the discount, or $6. So you get 2 tournaments for $7, and you'll get a major championship in there as well. So that would be the best way to play it, I think, this week and going forward. Charley Hoffman, maybe Texas is. We always see they compare this to a lot of Australian courses. We don't see a lot of competition outside the President's Cup. Maybe you can go find that one, the Answer and HV3 one. HV3 is in the field. They won down under in the past at some of those burnt out type courses, in December at the Australian Open. But I think if you're going to look through those, maybe take a look at Texas courses by and large, only just because you see a lot of Australians play well in Texas. I don't know if that's a wind thing or if that's a sand thing, or because everything is burnt out a lot of the time like this course is expected to be. So that's just another angle to play. It's one of these weeks where the traditional stats, I don't know how much they're going to help you, because we have no baseline for what actually plays well here. So it's a lot of guesswork. And now you can use the modeling, which we're going to do anyway, to kind of dig through everything to find out, right now, let's just kind of jump into it and look at the stats. We can just go by long courses. So courses that are over 7,400 yards. Who plays the best on those? Obviously, a lot of the international and European Tour players are not going to have a ton of info. We'll look at past 24 rounds at courses from that regard. We'll take a look at Andrew Putnam here just to see what courses are popping up. So you have Wells Fargo, Valero, API, Puerto Rico, the Masters, the 3M, BMW, PGA, Genesis. This one's especially long, and the Tournament of Champions on certain days. They might mess around with the tee boxes at this course as well to find out what's going on. If we just look at strokes gained, let's go strokes gained tee to green. Chapel, good God. Fleetwood, Brooks, Dustin, hey, Kyle Stanley again. Russell Knox. Knox was up there in the Aberdeen as well. He always plays the Scottish Open as the Scottish guy. Glover plays long courses really well, too. He probably has the most reps of any player in this field at this course, being one of the ambassadors who's in the field right now. So maybe the Glove is a guy to kind of dig into. Let's check out the Glove, see what he is saying. He played well at the Charles Schwab, played well at Valero. That was in Texas. That was a longer course. Don't really know. We can go and take a look at the Memorial stats here in a second. I don't know if they're all messed up because of what's going on with John Rahm, if that kind of skewed everything. Rahm was first in approach, first off the tee, and second in putting at the time of his withdrawal. So he was just playing way better than everyone else at the time. It looks like he's going to be eligible for the U.S. Open because he has a 10-day quarantine. I don't know if he comes out in FU mode or he's just kind of devastated by the entire thing. So tee to green, even. You see Willett is still up there, even over the past 24 rounds that he's played at longer courses. 12th in the field tee to green. So Willett's probably going to make the short list for me. Grace will probably end up doing that as well. Just guys that are you can even see it, guys that are really good around the greens that can play in different styles. So if you have to putt from off the green, that's good. Hatton's probably going to be my pick. Let's be realistic here. It's finally time to get back on the Tyrrell Hatton bandwagon, I think. Back on Bermuda, we have a longish course at a venue that I think that would set up really well for him, although when you take a look at this, it doesn't seem like he's, where is he down here? He's 50 or 42nd tee to green in this field over the past 24. The issue is, with some of these, especially when you look at strokes gained total over time, is that when you get things like Corrales mixed in here, the Puerto Rico Open, they're going to see some guys pop up that shouldn't be, whereas Hatton generally only plays against really good fields. Same as Dustin, same as Brooks, although they're still 1 and 2, so maybe that should lead you to believe that they're some of the best players in the world. If they decide to show up and play well, they're going to win. It's just, do you really buy into that all that much? I don't know. kind of rambling here. It's really difficult to get through this course and try to figure out what everything is going on. So shave greens, fast and firm, creative shot making in general. It would have been a really good Cam Smith course, I think. The par for number 3 and number 5, if they put the tees right. If we jump back to the scorecard for a second, you can see number 3, 360, and number 15, 360. If they mess around with the tees there, those could be drivable, or at least getting them back up. So I do think that, like, even if you do miss, then you're relying on your around the green work. So I think I'm going to weight around the green pretty highly, except when we kind of dig into it. You have things like Pinehurst is another Fazio course, and like Martin Keimer ended up winning there because he was able to putt. He had a ton of greens in regulation for one thing, but he was able to putt from off the green so much of the time as well that it kind of mitigated some of the stuff. So I don't know how much around the green is going to tell us, but I'm going to weight it anyway and see how it goes. Do we have any par 71s that are this long? Southwind is the only one I can think of that's over 7,400 yards. What are they giving us? Bethpage, Carnoustie, Chapultepec, Congressional, Quail Hollow, Riviera, TPC Twin Cities, and Valhalla. So I guess that Southwind, maybe Southwind's a 70. So if you just look at those courses, that's a very limited sample. DJ, I mean, if we take a look at Watney, that might be from like 2012 or something. Yeah, it goes back to 2013 in terms of his stats. So you really have to kind of dig into it this week to try to find like a comp course. Or, I mean, hey, there's Lipsky. What are his for? From like Puerto Rico Open? Oh, Mexico. Played well in Mexico one time. All right, good for David Lipsky. Lipsky, let's throw him on the short list of international players who play well in desert-style golf with a lot of sand. All right, let's turn these filters off. Build out a model, which will tell us that Brooks and DJ are the best players in the field, which won't be a huge shock. Let's go to the modeling. It might be a good opportunity. Like, I don't know. It's not like, oh, that's Memorial New, so let's call this one. Totally forgot what the name of this course is again. Dungarees? Is that it? Congaree. That's right. Congaree. Let's put that in here. We just want to do, we have some really long par 4s, and we have some really long par 5s. Let's take a look at the par 5s again for a second. You have 580, 645, and 595 are the three of them that are on the course. I guess two of them seem like they're pretty reachable. Then you just have these two ridiculously long par 4s. Two of them measure over 500 yards. One's 540. What's the other one here? 540 and 520. You just don't see that all that much. So long irons seem like they'll be coming into play quite a bit. So I guess we'll wait over 200 proximity. Probably not. Let's go 20 off the tee. We'll go 15 off the tee, 15 around the greens, 30 on approach. Let's shrink putting down to 5. See what that leaves us with. 65. Put in the sand. Why not? There seems to be sand everywhere around this course. Scrambling might come into it. I actually have no idea how hard or how easy that this course is going to play. Let's put a little mini look on the par 4s above 500 yards. Just you don't see a lot of those. So I'm also going to include 450 to 500 as well. And I'll weight that one. I'm just going to throw in 500, and I'll weight these par 4s at 10%. And then we'll go into proximity and go to 200 yard. And if we do 10% on that, what are we up to now? 85. And then we'll throw in the sand and see what that ends up giving us. Sand saves. Weight sand at 5%. We'll boost putting up. And then we'll boost driving up another 5%. We're at 99%. Oh, sand saves 5%. There we go. See what this spits us out. So it leaves us with off the tee, 20, approach 30. It's probably too big of a discrepancy to tell you the truth, but I have proximity stats in here as well that kind of add to what goes on with strokes gained approach. Around the green, 15, putting 10. I have 500 just to look at as a 0 weighted, but I do want it in the model just so I can see that list. Par 4s gained 450 to 500 yards. 10% proximity over 200 yards, 10%, and sand saves at 5%. Let's see what this spits us out. See if there's anyone interesting. Charley Hoffman might be another good player to look at once we go back and look at some of the Memorial stats after 3 rounds. I think round 4 is ongoing at the moment, but obviously the leaders aren't on the course as I'm recording this, so obviously I don't know the answers because if I was from the future, I'd have a much better idea of what was happening in the gambling space and actually have good picks right. So my rank in this over the past 24 rounds, Brooks, oh, it just jumped on me. Oh, Sneditz is up there too. Interesting. Brooks, Hoffman, Hatton, The Glove, Varner, Sungjae, Fitzpatrick, Vince Whaley, Dustin Johnson. Those are your top 10, and this is without the Memorial stats. I want to make sure none of the filters are on. Okay, they are not. Ghim, List, Sloan, Bramlett, Martin Laird, Ben Martin, who's a local guy, by the way, Johnny Vegas, Chris Baker, the birdie maker, CT Pan, Patton Kazire. Those are the top 20. Then you have like Stanley and Leviota. Brendan Grace is just lurking outside. I'd assume he would vault up the list a little bit. Davis Thompson in 10 rounds is actually up there. I didn't realize Davis Thompson. No, he played really well at the RSM last year, or in 2019. Missed it last year. Missed in Puerto Rico. Misses the U.S. Open. Once again, this is his first start as a professional. Although he does have stuff already. Where did John Pack play? U.S. Open? Masters? U.S. Open. Came 51st. Maybe John Pack is a play here. I wonder what he's going to end up coming in. I'm going to put him on the short list. It might be a week just to see if there's like value and discrepancy in the lines too. Like, I don't know where Higo is going to rank because he'll have 4 rounds? Yeah, he has 4 rounds of data. And making the cut, I mean, it looks like he's kind of terrible, but he had stretches at the PGA Championship where he looked really good. Then they got cursed and gave it all back. So I think it was 2 good rounds for him and 2 bad rounds. Let's see. We just take a look. Really good putter, by the way. He leads the European Tour in putting. So he had 2 good approach days, 2 bad approach days, 2 decent driving days, 1 really good around the green day, 1 really bad one. I just think guys more accustomed to playing this style of golf course will have a not as steep of a learning curve. So I'll probably be in on Higo this week, and he's my guy, so I kind of got to go with him. Who leads in this weird par 5? I'm Cameron Percy and Luke List, number 1. So let's just see what holes this come from. So you have 1 from the Charles Schwab. It looks like Byron Nelson, Wells Fargo, Valspar. So there's a few that are out there, and at least it gives you decent enough data from what happens this year, but it's 1 hole. So if it's like that, it's usually 1 hole, maybe 2 at any given time. So if you just know how to do that one really well, although Cam Percy tends to play them pretty well, just over time. So we'll just see who the best are of those past 24 rounds. Percy, List, John Rowlands, Harrison, Frazier. Good God, he's 90 years old, I think. Lebiota, I voted for Konos. Lahiri, Pan, Brown, Whaley, Keith Mitchell. Mitchell might be a look as well. We're back on Bermuda. At least I think it's pure Bermuda. It was until the actual official golf report comes out about the course. I won't have official numbers on that, but when I went and Googled it, that's what it said. But that's never the best. Fitzpatrick just rates out really well here for everything. Off the tee, really good. The approach has been bad. He missed the cut, obviously, but he was Andercursed this week. I mean, you can't really blame the guy for that. The glove, just very good across the board. Even putting-wise, Glover's been putting really well. I can't imagine that was the case at Memorial, but maybe I'll be stunned. Yeah, it's either a bunch or not a lot, although, let's see. Was Valero bent? I think Valero was bent, but Bermuda up. Dig into the glove a little bit more. Chuck him on the short list of guys. If I'm finding these numbers on Lucas Glover already and he has the course connection, expect him to be incredibly popular. It might be actually a good chalk fade this week when we think about it. So who are the guys on the plus 500 that also do well on the 450? So you have List, Konos, Fitzpatrick. Looks like Laird's pretty good at it. This could be a good Laird course, too. He's another good Texas player. Scottish player. Can kind of play in any sort of conditions. Bermuda, Benny Martin, 18th and 18th. You're just trying to find the guys that don't have huge discrepancies. Hatton, very good from this range. Poston, Wawrinski is another one. Bob Shelton. Kyle Stanley is the best from 450 to 500 yards. 52nd on 500 plus. Bramlett and Grace get better. And there's still a lot of long par 4s as well, like the 450 to 500 range. Sung Jae's up there too. The one thing about when you look at scoring and anything like that in general is that you're looking at putting being included into this. Now, obviously putting, big part of golf, as I've heard. Trust me, I was on the course yesterday, 3-putted the first 3 holes. Really didn't help the score. However, it's tough to really parse, are they making 35-foot putts on these holes? And that's really swinging their scores? I don't know. Until we get, shot-by-shot level data, that's going to be tough. Whaley, really good out of the sand. Is Whaley, an actual good player? Where the hell did this guy come from? Yeah, he was, kind of garbage. He's now made 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 cuts in a row, and he keeps getting better every single time. It's kind of crazy. I don't know. I mean, this is a weaker field, so you can kind of go back to him. Did we see anything like this from him before? He was 2020, 9th at the Puerto Rico Open, 29th at the Amex. He's made far more cuts than has missed in his PGA Tour career. Maybe the guy's like a real player. Who knows? Rafa on the comeback trail. Very good out of the sand as well. He's going to have another good performance here. I wasn't really buying it whatsoever, but it seems like whatever happened from like this range that we're looking at, from like Heritage 2020 through Wells Fargo 2021, he was like dead man walking, but all of a sudden Rafa's back. I mean, this is a former top 25 player in the world. He's won in Scotland before too. So maybe someone that you can go take a look at. Very good out of the sand. Hoffman's very good out of the sand. Mayo good out of the sand. Poulter. I said, it's not going to be difficult to build like an all-international team this week if you wanted to. Tom Lewis is up there as well. Maybe, after he's struggled, I think, the past 2 events, but had been playing really well. He missed the cut at Charles Schwab. He's been bad for a while. Just seemed like the ball striking had been really good. He's like, I kind of hit on this with Carlos Ortiz this week coming into Memorial, is that when you watch some of these guys' rounds, and the overall macro stats don't really show this, is that they go on these runs partway through rounds, and you're like, he's 4 under through 9 holes. Then you look at the end of the day and he was like +1. It's like, what the hell happened here? But if they can like shave off those edges, and sometimes it doesn't take much, that all of a sudden you're looking a lot better. It doesn't seem like scrambling and around the green work really the key to Tom Lewis's game, more of an off the tee type guy. Before we start guessing the odds, let's just go on over to the Memorial to see some of the in-tournament stats, to see if anyone just can't handle these super fast bent grass greens. And that's the reason that they're playing so poorly for the week. So we'll take a look at Memorial. We'll go to the in-tournament stats on fantasynational.com. And this gives you the entire look. I like to switch over to total so I can see the actual numbers. Rahm, obviously, out of the tournament. So you're going to see 15.4 strokes tee to green. Wow. That's crazy. So Cantlay and Morikawa obviously tied for the lead at the time that we're talking. Is anyone just having a horrific week on the greens? Oh, Hideki. So, I mean, Hideki's not playing well overall, but he's lost 7.4 strokes putting. Duffner playing pretty well. Lee couldn't putt. Patty Harrington couldn't putt. Finau can't putt. Finau's actually having a great tee to green week. Matt Wallace also having a good approach, or he missed the cut, but he had a terrible driving week, terrible putting week. Fantastic on approaches and around the green. Interesting. Chuck Hoffman's actually ball striking the shit out of the ball, can't chip or putt, so maybe he's back on the list for next week. Sungjae couldn't putt, that's a rarity. Wasn't horrible with his irons through 2 rounds, but we'll see tee to green, who's playing really well, and let's go find the guys that kind of missed the cut. The 999s is who we're looking for. So Wallace was the best tee to green, who missed the cut, followed by James Hahn. He's down there as well. Who else? Sungjae would be up there. Henley, Cam Smith, although a lot of that was around the green work. You had McCumber, Burns. McCumber actually gained a ton on approach, couldn't putt. Bad driver of the ball, too, which is especially odd for him. Not a real shocker that he wasn't great around the greens, or that he lost strokes putting, but at the same time, you wouldn't expect him to lose a stroke off the tee most of the time. See, Fratelli and Matthew Neesmith. Oh, Neesmith's approach game has come back. He's local to this area, too. At Charles Schwab, it was really bad, but you can see his approach numbers, and that was only through 2 rounds, are back up to where it was recently. So maybe he's kind of figured everything out. Maybe Neesmith is back on the list as a post-hype sleeper. Who knows? But let's get to the guess the odds for this week at the, wherever the hell this is, the Palmetto, starring Woody Harrelson and Elizabeth Shue. That's going to be your tournament for this week. So Brooks, DJ, Hatton, Fitz. I'll throw Chuck Hoffman onto that list. Who else? Fleetwood. It's going to be a tough betting board week. Poulter, Varner, Grace, EVR. I guess Rafa Cabrera Bayo if he ends up really coming through in the clutch. Sungjae, Siwoo. That's kind of it for this tournament, I think. So Brooks and DJ, I think, will be your overwhelming favorites. Hatton and Fitz will probably be next level. Then the rest of the guys like Sungjae, Siwoo, see where we'll be at for those guys. Unless he was in the top 10 of Memorial at the time that we're talking. So if he finishes strong and has a top 10, he'll be like 20-1 or something. But Brooks and DJ, I'll say that DJ is 8-1. Brooks is 9-1. Hatton 16, Fitzpatrick 18. Those are probably going to be your top 4. I'll give Fleetwood a 25, a Hoffman a 25, Sungjae 25, Poulter 33, Grace 35, Siwoo 35. And then I don't know with the rest of these guys. Who knows? But I think those will be the top guys on the board, unless I'm just horribly missing someone. I don't think that I am. That's likely what you'll be looking for at the Palmetto Championship in South Carolina. If you enjoyed the show, Southern Charm, whether it be the regular Southern Charm or Southern Charm Savannah, this one falls almost directly in between those two locations. So maybe they've shot some footage before one of those two shows at this course if you really want to do some deep dive Bravo research going through it. Remember to smash the like on the way out and give your early lean for a winner in the comment section. Probably a low investment week in terms of the betting market for me, although I always say that, and then it never happens. So we'll see how that goes. Sub to Fantasy National /Mayo. Do it Wednesday for the weekly for the double to get both tournaments in. And we got a ton of US Open. Even if you want to take a bye week this week, I don't blame you. That'll do it for me. I'm Pat Mayo. I'll see you next time.
Pat Mayo Experience! Experience!